Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, welcome. And here we are once again, adding yet another one to the list of lies of the drunkard, the manipulator, the wig wearer, the chain smoker, the not good friend, the potentially spiritually sick, the bully or the abuser. Maury Terry. Yes, yes, yes. Yo, give me a second. I got to catch my breath. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today on this special little pop-up we have going on for you. And of course, despite the rockin' intro, today we're actually talking about something quite serious. We're talking about yet another lie we were told. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be lied to, especially when I believe those lies for 30 years. I inculcate those lies into my operating system on how I view the world. And then all of a sudden, everywhere I'm looking, I'm seeing Satanists here, pedophiles there, child traffickers over here, people burying bodies over here, kids getting killed over there. Dude, it's not worth your time, guys, especially since, as we now know, Disco Dave did it alone. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm still catching my breath from that intro. Give me a second here. Let me just take one deep breath and center myself. All right. So, of course, what are we doing today? We are doing the Donna has 1 week to live hoax. This this was one that I was kind of perusing the files yesterday, and I said, well, let me look at these Donna Lauria files. Let me see what's up. I've always been curious about this Donna has 1 week to live business and the ultimate evil, which we'll read, of course, today and compare to the actual evidence, which is what I like to do. People always say to me, Manny, if it wasn't for Maury Terry, you wouldn't have a show. Yeah, no duh. This is what we do. We are critiques of this very famous true crime book called The Ultimate Evil. That's what we do. So, of course, Donna has 1 week to live was another one of these touchstone tenets of The Ultimate Evil. One of these things where Maury Terry steered our mind into thinking that, well, because someone said Donna has 1 week to live, that somehow or other that's like chiseled into the pillars of truth on granite, never to be changed. And of course, that melded our minds and steered our minds into thinking a certain way about the shooting of Donna Lauria, which luckily for me, everybody agrees was done by Disco Dave. Yes, that's funny. All of the Son of Sam people who are still cult heads are like, well, he did the Bronx ones because the Bronx was his territory. All right. Even though the dude knew every street of Queens because his mother lived in Queens. His biological sister lived in Queens. The dude was always there. He was a taxi driver and knew every street in New York City virtually. Roamed around the streets of New York with abandon, looking for victims. And God knows, there might be ones that were never really known about that Disco Dave has under his body count. You know what I'm saying? So Today, it's all about debunking another one of these damnable lies of Maury Terry. And I always say to the cult theorists, if Maury Terry didn't lie, I wouldn't be able to do a show. I'm only being able to do this show because a lie exists. I'm not conjuring up this information out of thin air. I'm not willing it to being, despite what some people think, I'm not even being ordered to do this. It's just that this information is there in the public domain, and well, no one else is analyzing it, so I figure let me do it. Let us be the video series that does it. So, of course, the 1 week to live hoax. So, of course, we're talking today about the shooting of Donna Lauria, and this may start a little bit of a deeper dive into this crime because I actually find it quite interesting. I'm looking at these police files. I'm looking at some of the sketches that are in there, and there might be one or two interesting shows out of this, and we never really talked too much about Donna Lauria, mainly because since her shooting was one of the first, actually the first, excuse me, please. Um, it wasn't considered a Son of Sam crime. Nobody knew of David Berkowitz until many months later, and this murder sort of came and went in and out of the papers in a day. And of course, as we now can see with Valentina Suriani, the stain that it left on the community is something that's to me actually quite interesting as a sociologist, someone who's a historian. I would like to get the stories of Donna Lauria, her circle of friends. So far, all we've been able to get is Valentina Suriani, and hopefully that changes in the future. So, the Donna Lauria hoax. So, of course, Berkowitz on the Lauria shooting. Now, I know, even though the cultists agree, we all agree that Berkowitz was the shooter, the cultists are like, well, yeah, but Richie was there. There was a Nova that was parked earlier in the evening. Yeah, okay. If you want to believe that Richie Sparazza was there, even though he was interviewed by NYPD and YPD extensively the day after the arrest, the 2 days after the arrest, they found absolutely nothing. The dude was not the nicest guy in the world, I'm sure, but as far as Son of Sam, clean as a whistle. But if you want to think Richie was there, hey, that's fine. But at least we all agree that Berkowitz did this shooting, and here he is talking about it in his letters to Abrahamson. So with regards to the Moskowitz shooting, I wrote you a letter on that. I wrote you a letter the other day describing that one. Now I will tell you about the first one, Donna Lauria. I saw her and another girl sitting in a blue Oldsmobile Cutlass as I drove past. I parked about 2 very short blocks away on a side street. Coincidentally, there was a space available. I left my car, walking in the direction of their parked car. I saw both girls sitting there, apparently talking. I circled the car at a distance like an animal stalking its prey. Cautiously, I watched for movement from other people in the street. However, there was none. Then, from behind and on the sidewalk, I approached the car, took my revolver out of a paper bag, and stopped parallel to their vehicle. I faced Donna, aimed my gun in the general direction, and fired all 5 rounds very rapidly. I saw the glass breaking into small slivers. The horn started sounding loudly, and then I ran full speed in the direction of my car. I stopped running within 50 feet of the car, then started walking briskly to it. I got in, then drove off. I aroused no attention. I didn't know I had killed her until I had read the Post the following afternoon. The shooting took place at about 1 a.m. I went straight home and went to bed. I got up early the next day and to go to work at the cab company in the same neighborhood, Pelham Bay Park. I was at work promptly at 6:45 a.m. That day, I made out better than usual in both tips and fares. I made it my point to go to work so I wouldn't arouse any suspicion. But who would have suspected me anyhow? I didn't know the victims. So, of course, that's quite chilling. And he talks about if this is indeed his first homicide, he talks about being hyper-focused here. He saw the glass breaking into small slivers, heard the horn sounding. He was hyper-attuned, and he shot 5 rounds very rapidly. I think Milsurp, don't quote me, Milsurp, but I think that Milsurp might have surmised that maybe he even shot afterwards, like empty, like just because he was so transfixed, he kept on shooting. But that might just be my misremembrance of Milsurp. So, of course, Berkowitz was obsessed with Donna Lauria. He wrote about her in the Borelli letter. I miss my pretty princess most of all. She's resting in Our Lady's house, but I'll see her soon. And of course, he wrote about her in the Borelli letter by name. Tell me, Jim, what will you have for July 29th? You can forget about me if you like, because I don't care for publicity. However, you must not forget Donna Lauria, and you cannot let the people forget about her either. She was a very, very sweet girl, but Sam's a thirsty lad, and he won't let me stop killing until he gets his fill of blood. So Millsap's in the audience. Yes, in his interrogation. So just clarify that for everybody. He wrote that he kept on shooting. Thanks, man. So, of course, he was even further evidence of this is in the Gilroy deposition when they asked him straight up, like, what did you mean when you said Our Lady, right? Our Lady's house. I'll see her soon, my pretty princess, Our Lady's house. What did you mean by Our Lady? That was the church Donna Lauria had her last rites given in, Our Lady of Assumption Church. I believe it was on Robert Avenue. Now that's Roberts Avenue with an S, I believe. Okay, and did you go and see that? I'd rather not say. That's kind of weird and chilling and odd. He didn't say no to that, which is a little weird. So he said he kept pulling the trigger even on empty chambers. Exactly. He was, as we talked about, and you had mentioned, he was just so transfixed on that. So of course, Donna Lauria referencing the Gilroy deposition, and as we learned about in our last show, Berkowitz was obsessed with this one, right? He was obsessed with this first shooting, and he was obsessed with Donna Lauria in particular. I wrote Mr. Breslin because he had an obsession with the shootings, Berkowitz says. That was evidenced in his columns and how he wrote about them. I also wanted him to write about Donna Lauria because the newspapers did not cover her properly. They just had Donna down as a name. The pattern of the shootings was not figured out until much later, that all the shootings were connected. And after that, when people were shot, they got all the publicity. Before they figured out a pattern, nobody wrote that much about the victims, and I didn't want Donna to be forgotten. I felt a mystical attachment to her that I can't explain. So he's clearly here obsessed with Donna Lauria, his first Son of Sam murder. And so it's pretty cut and dry. Could have put the confession down, but what's the point? It's like beating a dead horse at this point. It's pretty clear Berkowitz did this. He didn't have help. He spoke about no accomplices. If you read all 150 pages of the police files, there's absolutely no speaking of accomplices. There are other cars talked about, but it was New York City. Cars are double parked all the time. It was not a big deal for a double parked car, a tan Nova, even in 1976 on a Bronx street in New York City. It's reminiscent of the Brooklyn scene where all of a sudden every car there was a suspected car by Maury Terry. He didn't have any give you any sociological knowledge that that was a jump in park on a Saturday night and people were out and about and there were a lot of people around. So to me, that's cut and dry. Berkowitz talked about it and so on and so forth. But Maury Terry had a book to sell. He had a narrative to sell. He loved his satanic panic. The dude was all about church, being a church lady, being a Tipper Gore of true crime. The dude was like massively a moralist. Everybody who wrote down an Iron Maiden lyric was all of a sudden in a satanic cult. Just because there was graffiti in the Devil's Cave, which actually was written after Berkowitz's arrest, but we'll leave that aside for now. All of a sudden, there was a satanic cult linked to Son of Sam. I mean, this guy Maury Terry was like the original Tipper Gore of true crime. So he just had to get his cult thesis going. So as we've seen with other shootings, Maury thought nothing of taking police reports and juicing them to like build a narrative when there really was no connection to be made. And he did the pièce de résistance in the Donna has 1 Week to Live hoax. So let's get into that. Here it is, Mind Steering 101. So this is from the Call to Copco chapter in The Ultimate Evil, sort of towards the end. The glitzy peach tree was in New Rochelle, a city with multiple links to the 44 case. By the way, I'm going to comment as I go. I'm not going to read, and I'm going to have fun with this as I go. A city with multiple links to the 44 case. Oh, really, Maury? Says who? Says you? There's no links to the 44 case other than Berkowitz lived in New Rochelle. And there was a club called the Peach Trees that people went to in New Rochelle. That's the only connections. Habitual Wednesday visits there could well have explained the timing of a deliberate attack. So here Maury's going to how it was deliberate. He's already steering your mind that it was a pre-planned thing. It was deliberate. Moreover, it was established that members of the Carr family at least occasionally patronized the peach tree. So did members of the Juan Antonio family. So did members of the Einstein family. So did members of the D'Agostino family. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said D'Agostino. I apologize. It's just the first thing that came to mind. A lot of people went to Peachtree, is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean anything. I'm sure someone I knew went to Peachtree. Who cares? People went to Peachtree. Okay, let's get back to this. As reported earlier, a suspicious yellow car was seen cruising Donna's block shortly before she went out that last night. And later, just minutes before the shooting, Mike Lauria spotted a yellow Nova-sized car occupied by a lone male parked across the street and behind Jody's car. Additionally, the police themselves originally believed that the shots were aimed only at Donna. All right, so there's a lot in here. First of all, who cares about some cars parked on a Bronx street on a Wednesday night? Means nothing. I can look out my window now on a Bronx street and see plenty of cars parked, even some cars double parked. I could even see a lone male in a double car parked outside the street. It doesn't mean anything. And then it says here, additionally, the police originally believed that the shots were aimed only at Donna. So Maury left out the fact that they thought it was a hit on Donna, a botched mob hit. It wasn't even at Donna that they were aiming. The police theorized it was a botched mob hit, and whoever was shot was the person they were aiming at. They weren't aiming at the other person. It just happened to be Donna. See what I'm saying? Like, so this doesn't mean anything here. But here we go. Here is the meat stuff. Perhaps one of the most pertinent pieces of the Donna Lauria puzzle was hidden in a long-forgotten confidential police report. In it, a male acquaintance of Donna's was quoted by a young woman Donna knew. According to the woman, the man had said shortly before Donna's death, "Donna has 1 week to live." All right, so it's a pertinent piece. In Maury Terry's world, there's a lot of pertinent pieces to this that actually aren't that pertinent, as we're going to read. So he has here long forgotten confidential police report, as if that's like somehow nefarious. I mean, you see the mind steering, right? I guarantee you, if you're a student of this book, you read this in the same way that I read it, through the conspiratorial lens. And as soon as you read Donna has 1 week to live, that was it. All right, someone planned this. This was a hit. She was talking about the cult. She knew about the cult or something. Shades and echoes of Karen Wallstrom a few years earlier. I mean, that kind of stuff. So although the information was secondhand, its import cannot be downplayed. Within 10 days of the statement, Donna was indeed dead. So that this assumes the statement was actually made. Maury now puts this statement as something that actually occurred in the real world as presently existed. This is going to be important when we see the actual police report. The NYPD didn't disregard it either. This youth was a prime suspect until he provided an alibi, and Jody Valenti said he wasn't the gunman. Of course the alibi was valid. Berkowitz committed the crime. But did this man, who had a checkered past, know something was coming? Well, first of all, he's a youth here, and now he's a man. I don't understand why he went to be a youth to a man all of a sudden in one paragraph. That's a little strange to me, why a person would first be a youth and then be a man. That usually doesn't work out that way, but all right, whatever. I also recall the Laurias sadly telling me that Jody Valenti, whom they regarded as almost like a daughter, seemed to avoid them in the months after the murder. We could never understand that, Mike Lauria explained. Perhaps Jody experienced unsettling reminders of the tragedy when she saw Donna's parents. But maybe, as one of Donna's closest friends, she herself had heard something and tried to suppress her suspicions. I don't have that answer yet. But what is certain is that 9 months after Donna's slaying, Valentina Suriani and Alexander Esau were gunned down in a car parked barely 100 yards from Jody's front door. Another coincidence? Only the killers know for certain. But the initial question was, did information exist to fortify the jailhouse charges that Donna was an intentional victim? The answer, yes. All right, so there's a lot here in here. We're not going to go to it too much, but now Jody's all of a sudden he's putting Jody. Yeah, right. Nick Kosmas, he used the word killers on purpose. All of a sudden, Jody's experiencing unsettling reminders. He's mind reading on Jody Valenti. He's putting emotions that we don't know actually happen, using a lot of maybes here. Tying Valentina and Alexander Esau because it happened where Jody Valenti lived near from. Now all of a sudden it was connected, and and as Nikozmas pointed out, only the killers were know for certain, right? And then of course at the end, information existed that fortified the charges. Fortified the charges. Now the jailhouse charges that he's talking about here are Vinny and Danny. We're going to do a Vinny and Danny show soon. I have that original letter. Okay. Now, I think there's a lot of letters of the Vinny and Danny thing, but it was a dude named Alex. It was Maury Terry's cousin. All right. And the only letter I have has all of the stuff that they talk about it. And spoiler alert, it's like the rantings of a lunatic. We're gonna kick ourselves in the ass after we read that together, because we're gonna be like, yo, we believe this crap. But that's the jailhouse charges. That came from his cousin, Alex. All right. Not a dude named Vinny or Danny. All right. So let's talk about this. So now Maury Terry said that there was this Donna has 1 week to live business. So I went into the files and I looked up Donna has 1 week to live, and I looked for the police report, and here it is, guys. Here is the long forgotten confidential police report. Pretty redacted, but we're going to get a good idea as to this. All right. So remember, Maury had this as absolute truth, right? He turned it from secondhand information to then, in that paragraph that we read before, to then truth. So let's read it together. Calls 8th Homicide Zone, 8376, 1445 hours. Somebody stated, redacted stated, that he received information from a female known as Redacted, who lives at Redacted, telephone number Redacted, after 5 p.m. She stated that a girl, Redacted, who was a friend of Donna's, was told by Redacted that someone told her that Redacted had stated, Donna has 1 week to live. Redacted and Redacted were at Peachtree with Donna when she said, there is going to be trouble. Let's get out of here. Redacted was seen driving Saturday front of funeral parlor in a 76 baby blue caddy with white top, registered 124 PCO, the plate not something or other. Redacted is a babysitter for a woman named Redacted who was a friend of the family, Charlie. All right, so let's go through this. Now, let's go back to the actual words of Maury Terry. Okay, he said it was a pertinent piece of the Donna Lauria puzzle. Long forgotten confidential police report. A male acquaintance was quoted by a young woman. Donna said, according to the woman, the man. All right, so Donna has 1 week to live. The information was secondhand. Maury cut out 2 or 3 people out of that chain. Maury had it as somebody heard from someone else that Donna has 1 week to live. But if you read the actual police report, the person said he received information from a female. So the man got information from a female. That female stated that a girl who was a friend of Donna's was told by a third person that someone told her that someone had stated Donna has 1 week to live. So because I'm kind of dumb, I had to count how many chains of people there were there. There were 5 people there. This was a conversation of 5. Do you actually believe that this is for real? I mean, Maury had it as secondhand. Secondhand is a little bit more plausible, but now you have fifth-hand information. Are you kidding me? And then, of course, Donna says they were at Peachtree's and there's going to be trouble. Let's get out of here. It was 1976. Peachtree's probably had people who every now and then got into fights. Right? It's not a big deal for Donna Lauria to say there's going to be trouble. Let's get out of here. So what is the implication of Maury? Is that the shooters were right there? They were coming after her. She, like in an action movie, she saw them and then she collected her friends and got out of there. I mean, are you guys? Come on. And again, I'm not making any of this up. I'm showing you Maury's words. He's the one that said it was secondhand, not me. But then when I read this, it's fifth hand. Even secondhand information would be full of shit. It would be considered hearsay. It would never be considered admissible evidence in a court of law. So here's the follow-up investigations. Here's the police report. I guess this is like where the actual cop said, got the thing. There's going to be trouble. Let's get out of here. Was told by someone, right? This whole thing is this person was told by someone who was told by someone. I mean, as gossip said, as Roro said, guess in 76, gossip made into a police investigation. Yeah, I'm sure the gossip gets into a lot of police investigations now that I think about it. Certainly here, and as we're going to see, it gets even worse. The only mention of a contract in any of the police files is this kind of strange handwritten thing here, which was taken on 7/29/76 at 7:45 p.m. So it was like the same day as the shooting, later in the evening, of course. So because it's so hard to read for all of us, what I did was I typed it over here, and I'm just going to read it as is. If you don't believe that I'm reading it for real, well, then go find it, do the work, and please fact check me. So this is the only mention of a contract. So now, if you're a cult theorist, you're probably going, this is it, man. This is the contract. There was evidence of a contract, even though it was fifth-hand information told by someone who told someone who heard it from someone who said that someone told her who said that she heard it from someone, that Donna has 1 week to live. And then Maury turns that into secondhand information. I still believe that there was a cult, that the cars, the intelligence assets, the Scientologists who went to Peachtree, they were somehow involved because Donna was speaking. There's no evidence of Donna speaking about a cult or knowing. There's absolutely zero evidence of this. Let's read this crap together. Redacted was in the terminal pub with Redacted and told Redacted that Redacted was his boy and was going to handle a contract on me, and Redacted was told by Redacted that the conversation took place. Redacted told me and Redacted. There came a time when Redacted, me, and Redacted came into the terminal pub. Redacted was seated at the end of the bar, and Redacted pointed him out to us. He said, "There is Redacted. Unreadable." That's the text is unreadable. "With the contract on you." When Redacted went into the bathroom, I and Redacted went into the bathroom behind him, and I said, "You're supposed to have a contract on us?" He said, No. I threw him around and knocked him into a toilet stall. He said, "I will get Redacted to tell you that there's no contract." He left and never returned. I think the guy with the big hands was on the stick. So this is the only mention of a contract, and it's some dude who had a potential contract about him, and then they confronted some dude in a bar toilet stall, and the guy said no, there was no contract. And then here's the follow-up with the bartender at the Yankee Stadium terminal bar. Denies making statement to Redacted and Redacted about conversation in which he is supposed to have told them that Redacted had a contract on them. And there it is, folks. That's the entirety of the evidence of anything having to do with contracts, with hits, with 1 week to live. I mean, come on. At this point, it's unseemly. I mean, am I wrong here? I mean, is what I'm seeing here in black and white not getting through? Is this am I wrong in my interpretation? I don't think so. So anyway, guys, let me check out the chat, see if there's anything that I should see here that I'm missing. because I'm done with this. I'm done with this topic. I mean, it doesn't really need much work other than what we showed. Um, it was the priest in the library with the gun. It's funny how the conspiracy theorists say people believe Berkowitz selectively, the same people who believe that Berkowitz did the Bronx shooting because he said so. I mean, there's no logic to the conspiratards in this Son of Sam game, bro. You know that as well as I do. It's pointless to even try to talk to them about it at this point. All right, hold on. Was Peachtree's later named Streets? I think it might have been. There was definitely a Streets up there in so-called New Rochelle, but I'm not quite sure. I was a dweeb. I never went to clubs. You think I went to clubs? I mean, I was into Rush and, all right. Did you guys ever, Anthony asked, did you guys ever do a broadcast on that woman who Berkowitz stabbed in 75? No, we haven't, because there's really very little information. And unless she comes forward, there's really not much we can do. I still am of the utter opinion that Berkowitz killed Leslie Zarrett. I'm almost convinced that he did that. Okay, people's talking about OTO as if this matters. Anthony, cold star, right? Exactly. I mean, people who talk about occult and are into the occult, or even like sit here and worry about occult groups, just losers. None of that stuff goes anywhere. And even if you find evidence of something, what's going to happen? Because Robert de Grimston met Manson in 1969. I mean, who gives a shit? All right. All right. I think that's basically all we have to do today. All right, so everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Maybe there'll be another pop-up before my next scheduled show, which is going to be on the Vinny and Danny letter. But I actually have quite a bit to do on that to prep for it, and so I highly doubt that that I'm going to be doing anything else. So hey, I hope you guys had a great time today. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you on the next episode.